Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. Japanese war criminal Hitoshi Imamura believed that his sentence of 10 years imprisonment was too light, so he built a replica prison in his garden where he stayed until his death until 1968. The biggest company to ever exist was the East India Company. At its peak, it accounted for half of the world's trade. A teenager who was blind was able to play quarterback for a California high school football team by memorizing each play and by communications from his father on the sideline, who was able to narrate the visuals to him using a walkie-talkie. Beau Brummel revolutionized British men's fashion in the Regency era and was known for taking 5 hours to dress each day, including polishing his boots with champagne. During the 19th century, the ampersand symbol was taught as the 27th letter of the alphabet. The alphabet ended with XYZ and per se and, but this just became slurred over time until it became ampersand. Nikola Tesla originally expected to live to 150 years, but later changed this estimate to 135 years after he gave up alcohol due to prohibition. He regularly charged his body to high voltages to help aid longevity. The Beatles, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, were only together for 7 years and 7 months. Only members of the genus Homo can touch the tip of the thumb to the tip of the little finger. There's a Japanese word sandoku, which means buying a book but letting it pile up and never reading it. When Jimi Hendrix first performed in front of Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and the members of the Beatles and Rolling Stones, their comments included the S word, Jesus, and damn. New Zealand trialed anonymous testicle checks, which involved booths with a glory hole style hole for a doctor to stick his hand through and feel your testicles. Letting your dog sniff on walks is like giving them a mental workout, helping them relax and absorb information about their surroundings. The average human grows 590 miles or 950 kilometers worth of hair during their lifetime. The average human. I'm not average. Holy water in a container can actually be topped up with unholy water. As long as the added water doesn't exceed 50%, the whole container is still considered holy water. In 2014, a 5-year-old kid found a critical vulnerability in Xbox Live and other digital services. Betamax had higher quality images than VHS if recorded at the base B1 speed. However, it was rarely offered on Betamax VCRs after 1979 because its recording time on a standard Betamax tape was only 1 hour, so the image quality advantage over VHS was essentially removed for most of the format war. Vitaly Klitschko was never knocked down in his boxing career and also has a KO percentage of 87%. The Boeing B-52 Stratofortress's official nickname is BUFF, which is an acronym for Big Ugly Fat Effer. There's a Catholic saint named Lucifer. Lucifer of Cagliari is revered as a saint on the island of Sardinia. The name Lucifer in the associated verse in Isaiah would not become associated with the devil or Satan until relatively late in early Christianity. Colorado's Department of Transportation regularly shuts down one of its major interstates on sunny mornings due to extreme sun glare. Studies show that experiencing deja vu is more likely to occur in individuals with more education, travel experience, and liberal attitudes. It also greatly diminishes as a person ages. During a single Senate term from 1949 to 1955, Nebraska's Class II seat was occupied by 6 different senators due to 2 deaths, 3 appointments, 2 special elections, and 1 resignation. In 2023, Anguila's government made about $32 million US from fees collected from registering .ai domains. That amounted to more than 10% of gross domestic product from that territory. Rolling Stones guitarist Ronnie Wood comes from a community of bargees, also known as water gypsies, and his generation was the first to not be born on a boat. Five Guys actually provides extra fries at the bottom of your bag, so customers think they got a great deal, albeit this is already calculated into the total price. Jerry Murrell, its founder, claims it's better for customers to feel that their serving of fries was too large. Jed, the dog who played the villain dog from the 1982 film The Thing, was the same dog that played White Fang in the 1991 Disney movie. The British government safeguarded the supply of fish and chips during the First and Second World Wars. It was one of the few foods that the United Kingdom was not subject to rationing during the wars. The pizza effect is the phenomenon of a nation's or people's culture being transformed elsewhere, then re-exported to their culture of origin. There are no longer any significant barriers to a form of human cloning. In 2018, 2016, Chinese scientists successfully cloned two crab-eating macaques named Zongzong and Hua Hua, the first primates to ever be successfully cloned. There once existed elephant duels in Southeast Asia. Opposing army leaders of equal status would face each other on the battlefield in single combat atop elephants. It was seen as honorable and heroic as it avoided troop losses. The practice died when the Portuguese introduced guns in the 16th century. Swiss cars need a CH sticker when driving abroad, required by the 1968 Vienna Convention on Road Traffic. Swiss plates have no country code, only the Swiss and cantonal coat of arms and the cantonal code. The original color of blue tack was actually white, but following the fears that children could mistake it for chewing gum, a blue coloring was added. ChatGPT outsourced Kenyan workers to help train its AI by labeling harmful content such as abuse, violence, and gore. One worker called the assignment torture. Salvador Dali claimed to remember being in the womb. He described it as floating in calmness, warmth, and security. Many believe his claims should be taken as metaphor to align with his eccentric image and fascination with the surreal. Psilocybin resets neural networks, essentially rebooting your brain connections when on shrooms. Alex Stepney, an English soccer goalkeeper, got so angry at his own teammates, he literally dislocated his jaw screaming at them. Dr. No, not James Bond, was the first character to say shaken, not stirred on screen. Lise Meitner was a physicist who was nominated 19 times for the Nobel Prize in Chemistry between 1924 and 1948, and 30 times for the Nobel Prize in Physics between 1937 and 1967. She was never awarded the Nobel Prize and was instrumental in the discoveries of nuclear fission. The first recorded separation of conjoined twins took place in the Byzantine Empire in the 900s. One of the twins was already dead, and the other lived for 3 days after separation. The next recorded separation is several centuries later in 1689 by Johannes Fatio. The 11-pointed foundation of the Statue of Liberty is actually a coastal defense fort known as Fort Wood that predates the rest of the pedestal by 73 years. Frederick Fleet, who survived the sinking of the Titanic, World War I, and World War II, died in 1965 at the age of 77. The human voice is as unique as a fingerprint. Each person's voice is distinct and identifiable due to a combination of anatomical factors like vocal cord size, throat shape, and speaking patterns, making it nearly impossible to find two identical voices. Voice can do amazing things. Hey Siri, tell me a joke. You're welcome. In 2023, the Iowa Pork Producers Association launched an ad campaign featuring the Iowa State College football players Miles Purchase, Tyler Moore, Tommy Hammond, and Caleb Bacon. The four men had their backs to the camera, so their jerseys read Purchase, Moore, Hammond, Bacon. Angela Lansbury was initially hesitant to perform the title song in Beauty and the Beast from 1991 because of its unfamiliar rock style, and was especially concerned that her aging singing voice wasn't strong enough to sustain its longer notes. Ultimately, she recorded it in one take. Dr. Kruger was the man who discovered that sections of our brain can fall asleep while remaining conscious. The Beehive hairstyle was also called the B-52 for its resemblance to the Boeing 52's bomber nose, and the band B-52s chose that name because two of its members wore that hairstyle. Baldur's Gate 3 was the first video game to ever win all 5 major Game of the Year awards: Golden Joystick, The Game, DICE Game Developer's Choice, and British Academy Games. In 1991, a warehouse in Wisconsin holding over 4,000 tons of butter caught fire. After 5 hours, the melted butter flooded and formed a butter river that was 2 to 3 feet deep and as much as 5 feet deep in some places. The fire lasted 8 days. In 2003, a man named Mike Rowe bought Microsoft.com, which caused a legal kerfuffle at first, but the case was later settled in exchange for an Xbox and an all-expense-paid trip for him to Microsoft headquarters. George Lucas wanted Muppets maestro Jim Henson to voice the role of Yoda in Star Wars. Hey, thanks for watching. If you'd like to watch more, you can click any of the links on your screen now, and consider becoming a member of my YouTube channel for more exclusive content and 24-hour advanced access to all new videos. I'll see you next time.